Hello and welcome to section 2 of chapter 2 on personality. Today we're looking at the modern study of personality. Going to look at it from maybe a less icky, less weird lens than psychodynamic and Freud and all that wonderful stuff that's going on there. So popular personality tests. There's a lot of them out there, especially with the spread of the internet and everything that's going on there. It's pretty incredible what you can find out there. There's so many. We're going to take a couple in our class. The most popular is probably the Myers-Briggs test, which is very famous. And there's lots of variations on it. And you get all these little letters here that kind of tells you what you are and your possible or personal, logical present and all that. 2.5 million Americans per year take a Myers-Briggs, a full Myers-Briggs, not just the ones that we do on the internet or maybe. I remember I took one of these before the ACT way back in the 90s, and they match you with a career and said I should be a ski instructor. Yeah, okay. One study, though, found that these maybe aren't that valid, that fewer than half the respondents scored the same type 5 weeks later. So many of you maybe took these, I don't know, sometime in high school, and so it'd be interesting if you later took them and kept track of your results to see, are they the same results? Even weeks, months, years in time, do you have the same personality? There's little evidence to support the personality can predict behavior. Yes, we have these personality trends and we have these traits, which we're going to get into, but it doesn't always mean that I'm going to do exactly what that little category says I will. There's also objective tests or inventories, which they give you kind of the same questions, just reworded over and over again, like a litany of questions about outdoors and reading and thinking to yourself and things like that to try to figure out what kind of person you are. They are more scientifically valid to identify traits and disorders. The most famous is the Minnesota Multifaceted Personality Inventory, which I like to say, pie. I'm a big guy. I like to eat. Just so you're curious, and probably not even curious, but I am a commander personality. I'm ENTJ. I think I'm A as well. I took that last year, so maybe I'll retake it and see if it's valid. So Gordon Allport, he's the guy we need to associate with personality traits and testing. He said that most people have 5 to 10 central traits that stay true pretty much through the course of their lives, and it's kind of who they are. Secondary traits kind of change over time, maybe your sense of humor and things like that. But those primary traits kind of stay the same. Raymond Cattell innovated a factor analysis to identify clusters of correlated items. What he found is if you're willing to tell jokes in large groups and you like meeting new people and you're assertive, that means that you're outgoing. That means you have extroversion. So you can kind of lump some of these things together and kind of come down to a core central traits of who you are. He identified 16 factors, but only 6 were repeatedly confirmed. Through more and more testing, more and more work, through much, much more studies through psychology, they've been replicated and now known as the Big Five, the Big Five personality traits, which is something you absolutely need to know for the AP Psychology course. So first off, extroversion versus introversion. How outgoing are you, or do you like to keep to yourself? Next is neuroticism, how negative emotionally you are. Basically optimism versus pessimism versus your emotional stability. Agreeableness versus antagonism. Do you like to get along, or can't we all get along, to quote Rodney King back from the 90s? Or do you like to kind of play devil's advocate and get people going? Maybe you like to put up a Trump 2020 sign in the middle of Boulder. I don't know. Maybe that's you. Conscientiousness versus impulsiveness. When you make decisions, how much do you think it through, or you just do? Kind of like the Joker. I don't think, I just do. And then openness to experience versus resistance to new experience. How willing are you to try new things? Are you wanting to do new things, or do you like to just keep on keeping on doing the same old, same old? Evidence has shown that the Big Five is in thousands of people across 50 cultures. That number's probably expanded greatly. Not greatly, but probably some over the last few years. They're stable, especially after age 30. So once you kind of hit adulthood, you kind of are who you are. Although your extroversion can go down. People 16 to 21, that's you watching this video probably. You're the most neurotic. That means you're the most negative. You're the least agreeable. And you're the least conscientious. You don't think. That's not your fault. You don't have a fully functioning brain yet. This prefrontal cortex is still working, still growing. For ladies, it's probably around 20, 21. Men, you got till about age 28. Sorry about that. In later adulthood, people become less extroverted. They like to just stay home. You got a house, you want to stay home in it. Some think that many of these things, there's some things missing. This isn't the complete picture. It's not all these 5 things. You can actually do an acronym to kind of think all of these. OCEAN: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. This is a study to kind of show culturally how in neuroticism, negative emotions actually decline for Americans from age 16 all the way to 50. For Germans, it kind of goes down, maybe a little flat lines in the 20s or 30s. And then the Spanish must have a midlife crisis. They get really negative from 30 to 49, and then they're cool. Whereas our conscientiousness, how much you think, the Spanish is a steady rise. The Germans, once again, that middle period, I'm not sure what happens under early adulthood. They just kind of flatline. And the Americans, we do great. And then we're not very conscientious from 49 on. It's like, send it. Wow, midlife crisis. I'm going to buy a Ferrari and grow a mullet and, go to the beach, whatever. That's all I have for today. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll get on to the next ones here in a little bit. Hope you enjoyed this. Smash that like button. Subscribe.